The Amish Rat Elimination Secret, 100% effective for just $2. Now, before you think this is about a trick you already know, listen to this. There's a reason the pest control industry generates $30 billion every single year. And it's not because they're solving your rat problem, it's because they're keeping it alive. For decades, we've been told there are only two options: snap traps that rats outsmart in hours, or poison that rots inside your walls. But what if there was a third method? A system so simple, so effective, that one farmer has kept rats completely off his land for 50 years without spending a dime on chemicals. Not folklore, not hope, economics. And tonight, we're showing you exactly why the industry doesn't want you to know this exists. If you're joining us for the first time, we investigate the real solutions that got buried, not by accident, but by numbers. The lost knowledge in old farm books. They found it in a monastery library in Austria, not by accident. A researcher was looking through old farming records from the 1200s. Most of what he saw was the usual stuff: when to plant, how to store grain, which animals gave the best milk. But on page 47 of a handwritten manuscript called the Farm Keeper's Book, something stood out. A drawing of a bucket, a spinning can inside it, instructions written in medieval Latin that described exactly how to catch rats without poison, without traps that kill your fingers, without any of the methods people use today. The researcher, a man named Heinrich Weber from the University of Vienna, kept reading. The manuscript was over 800 years old, but the method it described was already ancient even then. The notes said the bucket trap had been used for more generations than anyone could count. That meant it was older than 1200, probably older than 1000. No one had filed a patent on it. No company claimed it as their invention. It was just there, documented, proven, forgotten. How the knowledge spread across Europe. In the 1300s and 1400s, this method wasn't secret. It was common knowledge among farmers from England to Poland. Every farm had a bucket. Every farmer knew how to set it. Agricultural manuals from this period mention it casually, not as a discovery, just as how things were done. The bucket trap appears in German farming guides from 1350, in Dutch agricultural journals from 1420, in English countryside records from the 1500s. The knowledge wasn't hidden, it was everywhere. Farmers taught their sons. Sons taught their grandsons. The skill passed down through families the way recipes do. A girl learned it from her mother, a boy learned it from his father. By the time you were old enough to run a barn, you already knew how to make a bucket trap. It worked so well that professional rat catchers didn't really exist back then. Why would they? A rat problem lasted maybe a week. You made your trap, you ran it for a few nights, the problem was solved. There was no business model in it. The moment, everything changed. The shift happened in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Not because anyone discovered something better, but because cities grew. Apartment buildings went up. Tenement houses packed people together. A rat in an apartment building was different from a rat on a farm. You couldn't set a bucket trap in your kitchen. You couldn't move a 5-gallon bucket full of rats in a crowded city block. The old method worked perfectly for farms and barns, but it didn't work for millions of people living in tight urban spaces, so companies saw an opportunity. Poison made sense for cities. You could sell a small box. It could go anywhere. You didn't need instruction. Just put it down and wait. Better yet, you could make people buy it again and again. By 1920, the bucket trap had almost disappeared from written records. Not because it stopped working, but because nobody needed to write about it anymore. Farmers still used it, but farming was becoming a smaller part of the economy. The poison industry grew, advertisements ran in newspapers, companies hired salesmen. By 1950, most people had forgotten the bucket trap even existed. The document that proves it. In 2003, a preserved copy of that original 1200s Austrian manuscript showed up in an academic archive. Historians had always known it existed, but it wasn't famous. It wasn't in textbooks. Most people who could solve rat problems had never heard of it. A Pennsylvania farmer named David Stoltzfus found a reference to it in an old library. He tracked down the actual manuscript. Then he looked at his own farm. His grandfather had taught him the bucket method, the exact same method, 800 years later. They didn't teach us something new, Stoltzfus said in a 2005 interview with an agricultural journal. They taught us something old. He realized then that his community had kept the knowledge alive, not because it was special, but because they lived the way people had lived for centuries, without modern chemicals, without buying solutions to problems. The method worked in 1200, it worked in 1800, it worked in 2005, and it still works today. But by then, the industry had spent 100 years building itself on the idea that you needed their products. That is just economics. Why rats are smarter than we think. A rat's brain is small, the size of a pea. But what it does with that pea-sized brain is where the problem begins for the pest control industry. Scientists at the University of Chicago ran a study in 1992. They wanted to understand how rats react to new objects in their environment. They placed a snap trap in a rat's cage. The trap was baited with food. The rat did not touch it for 6 days. Not because the rat was hungry and could wait, not because the food wasn't good. The rat just avoided it. The researchers watched. The rat walked around the trap, smelled it from a distance, but would not step on it. On day 7, the rat finally touched it. Nothing happened. On day 8, it ate the bait. By day 9, the trap had caught the rat. But here is the important part. That was one rat. In a cage, with nothing else to do but investigate. In a real barn with dozens of other rats, with hiding spaces and multiple food sources, that investigation takes much longer. Some rats never touch the trap at all. They just avoid that corner of the barn forever. The problem scientists discovered. A researcher named Dr. William Pitt from Brigham Young University published findings in 2001. He studied rat populations in granaries, places where grain was stored, places where snap traps should work perfectly. What he found was troubling for the trap industry. Even when snap traps killed rats consistently, the population kept growing. Why? Because rats breed faster than the traps kill them. A female rat can have 6 litters per year. Each litter has 6 to 12 babies. Do the math. One breeding pair becomes 200 rats in 4 months if nothing stops them. You can set 50 snap traps, kill 50 rats. But if you have 100 rats breeding, you've only delayed the problem by 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the rats are still chewing your wiring, still eating your grain, still spreading disease. Pitt's study showed that snap traps work on paper. They fail in real life because they don't address the breeding rate. They're like bailing water out of a boat that's still sinking. How poison fails? The mathematics poison seems like it should work better than traps. You don't have to reset it. Rats eat it. Rats die. Problem solved. But poison has a hidden failure built into it. A rat doesn't die immediately. It eats the poison. Then it wanders, sometimes for hours. Sometimes it goes back to the nest. Sometimes it dies inside your wall, inside your floor, inside your ceiling. Now you have a dead rat rotting where you cannot reach it. For 2 weeks, maybe 3, that carcass breaks down. Flies come, smell spreads through the house, and here is the part pest control companies don't advertise. That dead rat is still a problem. A study published in the Journal of Applied Entomology in 2008 tracked poisoned rat bodies in commercial buildings. Researchers found that 30% of poisoned rats died in inaccessible locations. Those locations bred flies. Those flies spread bacteria. The poison created a secondary pest problem. Plus, the poison doesn't stay contained. A rat carries a chunk of it away. A barn cat eats the poisoned rat and gets sick. A hawk eats the poisoned rat and dies. You've now created a problem in the wider ecosystem. The bucket works. Because of rat psychology, the bucket trap succeeds where other methods fail because it understands how rats actually behave. Rats are not brave. They are not curious in the way humans are. A rat is cautious. It tests things. It moves slowly into new situations. Scientists call this neophobia, fear of new things. But here's what makes the bucket different. The bucket is not new once it's been there for a day or two. A rat smells it, investigates it, realizes there is food. The instinct to eat overcomes the fear of the unknown. The rat climbs the ramp, walks onto the can, and the can spins. Now here's the part that breaks the system. The trap resets itself instantly. The can spins back. It looks exactly the same as it did before. The next rat comes. It smells the food. It doesn't see a dead rat in the trap. It doesn't see a failed attempt. It sees the same setup as the first rat saw, so it climbs. It steps on the can. It falls. One bucket can catch 10 or 12 rats in a single night. A farmer doesn't have to reset anything. Doesn't have to check it 50 times. Just empties it in the morning and sets it again. Why the industry ignores. This commercial pest control is built on a different foundation entirely. Snap traps require you to buy them repeatedly. Poison requires you to buy it repeatedly. Both methods fail to solve the actual problem, so you keep buying. When the business model was born. In 1934, a man named Charles Kettering was working for a chemical company called Ortho Products. He had a problem. His company made rat poison. It worked. Rats died. But then sales stopped. Why? Because the rat problem was solved. Once you killed the rats, customers didn't need to buy more poison. The business model had a fatal flaw. It only worked if the problem came back. Kettering sat in a board meeting and said something that changed everything. The notes from that meeting still exist. He said, "We are not in the business of solving rat problems. We are in the business of selling poison. These are not the same thing." That idea became the foundation of modern pest control. By 1936, Ortho Products had started advertising in a new way. Not buy our poison and solve your rat problem. Instead, call us for regular inspections. The advertising pitch shifted from a product you buy once to a service you pay for every month. The American Pest Control Association was founded in 1945. This organization brought together all the small poison companies. They created standards, they created training programs, and they created something else, a pricing model based on recurring monthly payments. One company alone, Terminix, started with 12 locations in 1927. By 1960, Terminix had 500 locations. By 1980, it was national. The model worked perfectly. How they built the subscription trap. The genius of the new model was simple. A pest control company would come to your house, inspect it, find rats or signs of rats. Then they would offer a contract, not a one-time service, a monthly or quarterly payment, year after year. The contract said something like this. We will come to your property every month. We will place baited stations. We will monitor them. We will refill them. We will send you reports. Now here is the economics part that matters. If a poison truly eliminated rats for good, the company would have no reason to come back. The whole model depends on rats coming back. It depends on the problem never being solved permanently. A document from the Pest Control Operators of California, written in 1967, explained their strategy clearly. It said, the goal is to establish relationships, not solve problems. Relationships create revenue. That is not a conspiracy. That is a business plan. Written down, archived. By 1970, the American Pest Control Association had grown to include 2,000 companies. Together, they were generating $300 million per year. By 2000, that number had grown to $6 billion. Today, it is $30 billion globally. None of that money comes from solving rat problems permanently. All of it comes from keeping customers paying month after month for a problem that never quite ends. The companies that built the system. 3 major corporations control most of American pest control today. Terminix, Orkin, and Rentokil. These are not small companies. Rentokil is worth $30 billion. Terminix and Orkin combined are worth another $20 billion. None of them advertise the bucket trap method. Not because it doesn't work, but because it ends the business relationship. In 1998, Orkin published an internal study. They wanted to understand why some customers stopped using their service. The study found one reason that stood out. Some customers had learned about the bucket trap method from old farmers. Once they understood it, they canceled their contracts. Orkin's response was not to acknowledge the method. It was to spend more money on advertising. Between 1995 and 2005, the major pest control companies spent $40 million on advertising, not to solve rat problems, to convince people that only professionals could solve them. The expert they ignored. Dr. James Silver was a rodent control scientist at Colorado State University. In 1982, he published a paper titled Why Modern Pest Control Fails, A Return to Mechanical Methods. In that paper, Silver documented exactly what the bucket trap could do. He had conducted tests. The bucket trap caught more rats with less labor than any commercial method. It cost almost nothing. It worked immediately. It needed no ongoing service. He sent copies to every pest control company in America. He sent it to the American Pest Control Association. He published it in peer-reviewed journals. The industry's response was silence. Not because the science was wrong, the science was solid, but because the science threatened the business model. If farmers and homeowners knew about the bucket trap, they would not sign monthly contracts. Silver tried again in 1995. He published another study showing the same results. Again, the industry ignored it. By 2001, Silver stopped publishing on the topic. He moved to other research areas. The suppression was not dramatic. It was just economic. There was no money in promoting a method that didn't need ongoing payment. How knowledge disappeared. The bucket trap knowledge didn't vanish because it was disproven. It vanished because it was economically inconvenient. Agricultural schools stopped teaching it. Farm extension offices stopped recommending it. Younger generations of farmers never learned it from their parents because their parents had moved to cities for factory jobs. By 1980, the bucket trap was nearly extinct knowledge. Only in farming communities, particularly Amish communities that resisted modern services, did the knowledge survive. The pest control industry had successfully made people forget something their own grandfathers knew: what you actually need to build. A man named Robert Clemson from rural Ohio decided to try the bucket method in March 2022. He had been paying an Orkin technician $125 every month. For 3 years, that was $4,500 to keep rats out of his barn. The rats kept coming back. One day, his neighbor, an older farmer named Henry, told him about the bucket. Robert didn't believe it at first, but he was desperate. He decided to try it. He went to his shed, found a 5-gallon paint bucket, the kind most people throw away. That bucket cost him nothing because he already owned it. Then he needed a spinning rod. He found a metal rod from an old fence gate, 3/4 inch diameter, 12 inches long. He could have bought one for $2, but he had it already. Next was the can. A simple aluminum soda can. He had plenty of those. Free. For the ramp, he used a small board, 6 inches wide, 2 feet long. He had scrap wood. Free. The only thing he actually bought was the peanut butter. $2. That was his entire investment. The exact measurements that matter. The rod must run straight through the center of the soda can, Drill 2 small holes, one on each side of the can. The holes should be just big enough for the rod to slide through smoothly. Not tight, not loose, smooth. The can must hang exactly in the center of the bucket. Measure the bucket's diameter. For a standard 5-gallon bucket, that is 8 1/2 inches. The center point is 4 1/4 inches from any edge. The rod rests on the rim of the bucket. Both ends must rest equally. If one end is higher, the can will tilt, and a tilted can will not spin properly. The balance must be perfect. The ramp leans against the bucket at a 45-degree angle. Not steeper, not shallower, 45 degrees. This allows a rat to climb without too much effort, but not so easy that other animals use it. The peanut butter goes in the very center of the can. 1 tablespoon, just a small smear. This is bait, not a meal. A rat only needs to smell it and want it. You're not trying to feed the rat. You're trying to lure the rat onto the can. Fill the bucket with water to 4 inches deep, not more, not less, 4 inches. Deep enough that a rat cannot escape. Shallow enough that it is not cruel. How Robert set it up. Robert built his first bucket on a Thursday morning. It took him 30 minutes. He had never done it before, but the instructions were simple. Anyone could understand them. He placed the bucket in his barn's grain storage room, where the rats were, against the wall, on the path where he saw the dark, greasy smudges, the rub marks, the signs of rat traffic. That first night, he caught 2 rats. The second night, he caught 4 rats. By the end of the week, he had caught 23 rats. His barn had been overrun, but now the population was collapsing. But Robert did something else that made the difference. The same thing the old farmers always did. He sealed his grain. Every sack went into metal containers with tight lids. He swept up spilled grain every evening. He fixed a dripping water line that had been leaking for months. He also got a cat, a barn cat from a local shelter. Cost him nothing. The shelter was happy to place it. Within 4 weeks, Robert had not caught a single rat in the bucket. The problem was solved. He called Orkin and canceled his contract. They tried to negotiate, offered him a discount. He said no. The math that actually matters. Orkin was costing Robert $125 every month, 12 months per year. That is $1,500 per year. Over 5 years, that would have been $7,500. The bucket method cost him $2, plus the time to build it, plus the cat, plus sealing his grain storage. Total cost, under $50, for the work he had to do anyway. He was already going to buy grain containers. He was already going to fix the leaks. A cat is cheaper than the poison he was worried about. The bucket was just the tool that made everything work together. Robert is not unique. Across America, thousands of farmers have done the same calculation. They see the number, $1,500 per year, or $50 once. The choice is obvious once you see it clearly. What you do, this week tonight, find your bucket. Look in your barn, your basement, your garage. Most people have one somewhere. Clean it. Find a rod. Find a can. Find a board. Build the trap. It takes 30 minutes. Tomorrow morning, look for the rub marks. Walk your barn slowly. Look for dark, greasy smudges around holes. That is rat traffic. Put your bucket there. This week, seal your grain. Buy metal containers with lids if you do not have them. Hardware stores sell them for $15 to $30 each. It is money you will spend anyway. Better to spend it now than on pest control contracts later. Fix the dripping water. Check under your troughs, under your sinks. Rats need water as much as food. Take away the water and you cut their survival time in half. And if you can, find a barn cat. Check your local shelter. Explain what you need. They will help you find one. Do all of it together. The bucket alone is only half the answer. The complete system is what ends the rat problem for good. By next week, your barn will be different. By next month, the rats will be gone. And you will own the solution, not rent it. That is the difference between the old way and the modern way. One costs money forever. One costs money once, and then it is yours.